Hello and welcome back. Let's keep building out our stream fields. So in the last video, we created a blog detail page. We don't have a category yet. We've got a title, we've got a 4-minute read area, and we have rich text. But we still need to add a block quote, a Twitter CTA or some kind of Twitter type of block, and an image. So let's just do the next one. It doesn't matter which one we have, we just need to get them all done at kind of roughly the same time. So the order doesn't matter, and I usually just go from top to bottom. So the next one is going to be an image, and that's going to be the blocks/image.html template. And this is just moving on from that last lesson. So if you're a little bit confused about where I'm getting some of the stuff from, usually I will describe it in the previous lesson and kind of sprinkle hints as to what I'm talking about. So we're going to create an image using blocks/image. So we go into project, templates, blocks. We create a new file in here. We're going to call it image.html. And in here we can just do self. Let's see what happens here. And in our admin, let's edit that same page and let's add an image. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to upload a new image. I'm just going to grab some sort of blank-ish image. Apparently it's called variant 2. Let's go ahead, publish this page. Let's refresh. And it just shows up right there. Variant 2. Not quite what we're looking for. Super close, but not quite. Also, I've noticed that we seem to have some sort of border here. We have a border at the top and bottom of our rich text, and that's from the last video. And actually what I think this is supposed to be, and I think I actually got this wrong, was this was supposed to be our rich text, so we can give this a class of rich text. That could be our own. And I'm just going to fix this up from the last lesson. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually wrap the entire stream field area in all of that. And let's just see what this does. Because I've got this light border here and one at the top, but that's just around the rich text. The image should actually be in there as well. If we take a look at the original design, there is no horizontal rule, there's no border down there, but there is at the very bottom. So maybe we can fix that up too. And that looks a little bit better. Yeah, okay, that's getting there anyways. So variant 2, we need to create some sort of image. Now, if we go back into here, we can, this is the original design. This image is supposed to be 800 by 440. We can see that right there. And so we're going to create a template for that. It's in a paragraph, so hopefully that doesn't really matter, but we've got our own template, so we can do whatever we want. So in here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to load Wagtail images tags. And then I'm going to create an image in here, and that's just going to take self. Remember that we're not using page.self because this is a stream block, and a stream block only ever refers to itself, not the page that it's in. Self, let's do maybe, yeah, we could do fill, I guess. There's a few different ways we can do this. If you're curious about the different types of renditions or cropping we can do, you can absolutely go and check that out on the Wagtail docs at docs.wagtail.org. Okay, let's save that and see what happens in here. Okay, not quite what we want because that original image seems to have some sort of, it's got a border, not a border, a border radius. So perhaps that needs to be in a paragraph. I'm not totally certain. I'm not going to totally dissect the author's CSS. I'm just going to take a quick guess here because that's what the original code looks like. The original code has this image with a paragraph around it. Let's see if that does anything. All right, so that paragraph did not work, and what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to add some classes in here. So in here we can see max width 100, height is auto, margin bottom, top and bottom 2 EM, and we probably have some radius in there. I'm guessing. No, we don't. Interesting. Anyways, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of cheat because I don't want to get into too much front-end stuff, and I happen to know Tailwind, so not width, but class is going to be width, full, height, auto, margin top, I'm going to guess, Y, margin bottom, margin top 2, margin bottom 2, which could actually just be margin Y too. There we go. Let's see how this turns out. Starting to look a little bit better there. Do we have a border radius in here? Let's do rounded. Rounded LG? Question mark? Nope, not quite. Okay, so again, this is where it gets a little bit interesting because we don't always have perfect control over things. And that's just kind of the nature of web development. But what we can do, right, is we could, please hold, we're going to do something very interesting here as img, and then we're going to say image source img.url. Let's actually type that properly. We put class is equal to, and style is equal to border radius, I don't know, 1em, I'm guessing at that point. If I was doing this properly, well, that's way too much, but if I was doing this properly, I would actually figure out what that value is, but I can do it that way. What you might actually want to do is put this into a proper CSS file and not inline it, but, you know, do as I say, not as I do kind of thing. I'm just doing this to show you that we have control over that. The next thing we want to look at is, what is the next one we want to look at? Let's take a look. Okay, we got our image, we got our rich text, cool. We have a quote. Let's go take a look at this quote. We got a quote block in here somewhere. Right there, that's the quote block. So I'm literally just gonna copy all of that. So copy element. And I'm gonna create a new file called quote.html. It lives exactly where all the other blocks live. And this one is pretty much self. That's it. So a block quote, paragraph, block quote. And what I'm doing is I'm mimicking the exact template itself. So when I go and edit that page, you'll see here, I can add a quote. And let's, for funsies, use the same quote. Note some of the earlier articles, yada, yada, yada. Okay, publish. Look, there it is. Sweet. Well, that was an easy one. Now, the reason I got self, or the way I got self on that one, again, quote is, I mean, it's one field. We actually saw that it was only one simple thing, literally just text. And then we have our Twitter block, and this is going to be an interesting one because this is a struct block, which means we can have multiple pieces of information in here. So in our Twitter block, it's a struct block, which means we can have a text, an author, we can have all sorts of other things. We can mix and match every other type of block inside of a struct block, including other struct blocks. Yes, that is how it works in Wagtail. So in this one, we have text and author. So we're going to do a little bit of both. So let's edit our page, and we're going to add the Twitter block. And let's add the actual text. What is the text? When gone I am. Oh, sweet. I love Star Wars. When gone I am the last of the Jedi, you will be. So we're just going to copy that stuff in there. And we're going to put that right in here. Now, we're going to see, because this template doesn't exist, yep, Twitter block doesn't exist. So if you ever run into that again, it's just missing a file that it can't quite find. Let's go ahead and create our Twitter block.html. And again, what I can do is literally just inspect this, or I can get it from the actual source code. It's going to be pretty much same. Two ways of doing the same thing here. So in here, we've got an h4 self dot, right? Self being the entire Twitter block, text and author. So we're going to do self.text, and in here we have self.author. And then this is going to be some sort of button. You can do whatever you like with that. That's not going to be functional because we're not going to hook it up to JavaScript, but it will do something if you want it to do something. All right, here we go. Look at this. This is all working nicely. So let's go ahead and get rid of that. We have some rich text. We have an image. We have quote. We have Twitter call to action tweet thingy. And we can mix and match these all we like. So the last thing we have to do is go get rid of all this extra stuff. We don't need that. Let's go ahead. I think that's just about right-ish. It's hard because the formatting of this using prettier is pretty difficult to work with. No, I messed something up there. Maybe it's that one. Classic front-end development. Nailed it. Cool. We have a blog detail page with 4 StreamField blocks on it. In the next lesson, we're going to create a category. We're going to register it as a snippet, and we're going to assign it to our blog detail pages. And then we're going to start connecting some of the dots between the other pages. Like when we go to our blog detail page or our new blog post doesn't show up. We're going to work on that shortly after. But first things first, we need to make sure these categories are hooked up, and we're going to do that next.